Nobody does it better. South Florida's Health and Wealth Radio, AM 1470, WNN.
Here's some great news from Tom Trento, host of the daily WNN Trento Vision Show. Due to the unparalleled success of the Trento Vision Show, you now have an amazing opportunity to advertise on the Trento Vision Show. If you want more information about this excellent opportunity for your business, please contact Tom Trento at 561-319-5533, or you can email him, tom@trentovision.tv. The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. Welcome to Trento Vision, where bad ideas get pulverized and the truth will set you free. Trento Vision is hosted by Tom Trento. Tom can be reached at 561-319-5533 or tom@trentovision.tv. Listen and watch every weekday from 3 to 6 p.m. on AM 1470 WNN and trentovision.tv. Now, let's get a peek at Tom's view of the world. Here's Tom Trento.
Yes, the question today, one of the questions, a lot of questions. I always have a lot of questions. One of the questions today is this concept of democracy. Democracy. We're real big here in the United States of America to believe in the principles of democracy, which is based upon certain reasonably held beliefs that all men have a desire for freedom, for self-reflection, for engagement, for peace, for love. And when you take these kind of amorphous concepts and principles and you mix them all up in a pot and you try to live a civilized life, the historians, the philosophers have entitled that stuff democracy, a particular form of management, of government, if you will, that emphasizes the individual. And the state is, in a very real sense, subservient to the individual, but the individual has a minimal level of moral good, democracy. And through the years, the policy of the United States has been to export democracy wherever we could. We believed that this 236-year-old experiment, in fact, the longest running democracy in the history of the world. We believe that it's something good. It's exceptional. It's better than any other form, and we try to export democracy. And we've done it quite successfully, in particular in the Western world, and even in some Asian parts of the world like Japan. But the real question right now is democracy something that can be exported? Do all men everywhere desire independence, desire liberty, desire freedom? Or is there a prerequisite to the concept that we call democracy? And in particular, is it possible for a Muslim country to truly understand and desire a democratic approach to self-governance? That's a fascinating question, and I'm going to just lay it out there today as we get into a trip around the globe. We're gonna start off this afternoon at 3 o'clock, going in a little bit to Israel. On-the-ground report from our good friend Barry Shaw out there in town a little bit north of Tel Aviv. He's going to get us up to date on the ceasefire, the wonderful move by President Mohammed Morsi last Thursday, Thanksgiving, to essentially declare himself Pharaoh. Egypt is somewhat in flames, but what's going to happen? And then Barry's going to help us understand what's happening tomorrow, 7,000 miles from Barry, about 1,200 miles from us take I-95 up north, get off at exit 14, go go into the tunnel there, go in the Holland Tunnel, actually go in the Holland Tunnel, and make a right-hand turn, and no, you'd go through the Lincoln Tunnel, keep going east, and you'll run into this kind of rectangular building on First Avenue and 36th Street. A lot of activity there tomorrow. It's a United building where all the nations are going to be. And some funny stuff is going to happen that impacts every one of you listening and watching right now, TrentoVision.tv. Let me see if CJ got here. Did she get here yet, Mike? Oh, there you are. Hello. How are you?
No, I'm not here.
I know you're out house hunting. How's the hunting going?
It's going very well. It's going very well. My
Okay.
phone is in the car, and my computer hasn't loaded up yet.
Okay.
So just pretend I'm not here.
Okay. She's not here right now. No problem. Well, what we have in store, did you get the schedule for the
Did
day?
I get the
Benji?
memo? Yes, I
Okay,
did.
so you got
yeah,
that.
I see there's lots of things for you to talk about and less
Yes.
for me, and I really appreciate that.
I'm
Thank you.
going to try to stick to all those times, too, because here on TrentoVision.tv, we are expanding the nature of the program to participate with our sponsors, supporters out there in a joint effort to help you promote your website, your product, whatever it is, and we're selling time, basically, radio time. So if you're interested in doing that, or if you prefer just to donate, you can go to TrentoVision.tv, or you can contact me, Tom, at TrentoVision.tv, and we'll give you all the advertising information. So that's an interesting development as we are set in place. We own the 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock hour on WNN 1470 in Boca Raton, Florida, where it's 74 degrees once again.
And I can't look it up. I can't even check the weather for you.
You can use my phone. The little thing is
Thank
there.
you.
Whoever would have thought?
Oh, your things are in a different order than mine.
Oh, yeah.
Where's your weather on?
I'm a male.
Oh,
You're
there
female.
you are. Yeah.
Whoever
Are you left-handed?
Whoever would have thought? No. Whoever would have thought that you can, when many of us were growing up in school, whoever would have thought you can tell the weather by looking at your phone?
Wow, it's 43 degrees in Amsterdam. Your
Yes,
phone
it
really is different.
Yes. Keep sliding. And we have some friends in Amsterdam. Hello, friends in
63
Amsterdam.
degrees in Jerusalem.
Yes, we have friends in Jerusalem. One of them is on a line here, close to
66
Jerusalem.
in Orlando.
Okay.
41 in Philadelphia.
We have friends in Philadelphia.
48 in Washington.
We have friends in Washington.
Do you really know people in Newark?
Oh, no. What is the temperature in Newark?
It's 41.
Yes, Newark is my birthplace on the north side, the Italian section of New Jersey. Did you ever see that show, The Sopranos?
Yes, I have.
Well, it's a fictional show, but if it wasn't, it actually was filmed about where I lived.
Wow,
That's,
79 degrees.
Where, here? Oh,
Yeah.
in Florida. Wow, nice. Oh,
Yeah.
that's good. Okay, so we got that. Mike, traffic report.
Traffic's good. Flying on Dixie.
How many cars? Dixie Highway. We're on Dixie Highway in Boca Raton, Florida. A couple of cars going back and forth on Dixie Highway. You'll know when the train comes by because the whole building shakes. That's
You'll
our
see us
train
vibrating.
report. But there's a real question as to whether or not the doctrinaire Islamic world can accept the principles of democracy and as an entity or just as individuals. And we'll play around with that idea now, but I'll give you the answer. Okay, according to the theological, philosophical, and authoritative scholars of Islam, democracy is absolutely incompatible with Islam because democracy necessitates self-rule, where the individual, in a collaborative effort, gets together to write the rules by which the individuals will live. That is anathema to the doctrines of Islam, which say dictatorially, Allah spoke, gave you the rules, you follow. So the system of Islam cannot ever assimilate with a system we know as democracy. So what's happening in Egypt? Well, we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about what happens in the United Nations. But we got a lot of stuff ready for prepared for you guys today. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I had a interesting conversation, CJ, with a good friend of mine earlier, a hard charger who is a bit depressed and disappointed about what happened on November 6th.
Oh.
And I think we all can commiserate with that the good guys lost. The people that truly look for self-rule where the government is limited and free expression and the entrepreneurial spirit is maximized, we lost. And those who see the government as not only a pair of crutches, but as the cart. You know, we don't even want to walk around anymore. We want one of them wheelchairs to just drive us around. You know, those guys won, and our country's going in that direction. And I told the person, you know, it is bad. But what I did when I first started counting down 669 days to November 6th, on November 6th, I wrote 2 words, offense or defense, and I put a question mark. And if the good guys would have won, the Republicans, we would be on offense pushing an agenda.
Right.
But if we lost, we'd be on defense stopping an agenda. If you are in the mindset of offense and you're living in a defensive construct, a defensive world, you're going to be very frustrated. So I gave as a suggestion, in addition to drinking large amounts of wine, I gave as a suggestion to my friend, you got to get your mind wrapped around the fact that we're an insurgency, basically. We are a defensive position blocking President Obama and any and everything he does that's not in accord with the United States Constitution, with the support of Israel, or with the enhancement of Sharia-compliant Islam.
But not just him. Any of the Republican enablers and useful tools and idiots who let it happen.
Yeah, but those guys have the keys to the kingdom, and but we have Peter Feynman. Peter Feynman, our good friend, our attorney, he is a strong supporter of the work we do. We're a strong supporter of him, and we're telling our listeners and viewers, if you need a mouthpiece, if you get snagged somewhere, if it's whatever it is, I've called him for everything, and either he can do it or he has
or he knows who can.
He knows who can,
and real quick.
If it's an IRS deal, call Peter. If it's a business deal, call Peter. I've even called him. Friends of mine had some marital difficulties. That does happen. I've called him, and he's referred to different folks. He's been around 30 years. He knows what's going on. And he has written a couple of books. So he's in tune with the jihad movement in America. He wrote a book called Wake Up, America. Come on, wake up. He wrote that 3 years ago. But guess what? I guess not enough people read his book.
No. So now we have The Coming Nightmare.
Yeah, so he goes, okay, you don't want to wake up? The Coming Nightmare.
Yeah.
And the next nightmare. Yeah, the nightmare, okay? And it's not fictional. It's a real book where the Islamic world joins with the left Marxist socialist world and just makes life tough for everybody. There's a thirst for, democracy. It recognizes that there's an evil element of mankind, and checks and balances are put in to suppress that portion of mankind and to enhance the good. Well, when you get into the Marxist, socialist, Islamic view of the world, they thirst and lust for power. They want power over people, and the government wields the power. Well, The Coming Nightmare talks about how political
correctness is going to destroy our society.
It's going to completely destroy us. So if you need a good mouthpiece, a good consigliere, Peter Feynman, Feynman Law, F-E-A-M-A-N, Feynman Law. Give Peter a call. And if you need to know, though, what's going on in Israel, you give Barry Shaw a call. Do you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Barry.
I mean, I know we give him a call, but I didn't know other people were too. I thought we were special.
I know. Yeah, we'll give you the direct line to Barry. Hey, Barry, are you there? Hang on. All right, let's hear you once again. Are you there?
Yes, I am, Tom. How are you guys?
Hey, we're doing well. We got a very good connection. We were looking for you, I guess, last week, Friday or so, and you had a little power failure or something?
Sorry about that, guys. We had a power outage because of the weather. You get a bit of rain over here and everything goes off.
Oh, that's right. It's a dry...
It took me 4 days to get back online, but I'm happy to with you guys again.
Good to have you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, and your part of the globe there has had a little bit of excitement over the past few days, huh?
Oh, never a dull moment over here. Wow.
Well, here's what, Barry.
Almost biblical.
Here's what we want to. Yeah, biblical. Here's what we want to do today.
10 plagues all in a week.
Here's what we want to do for our listeners, and we'll have you on for 2 segments. So we'll give everybody a chance to speak with you if they want. If you want to talk to Barry Shaw or myself or CJ as we discuss a whole host of things in the Middle East, Israel and Syria and Egypt, and then what's going on in New York. You can give us a call at 888-565-1470. 888-565-1470. I don't think you can call that number from over the pond, though, only in the United States. So, all right, Barry, we left off last week. We spoke to you, I believe, on Wednesday, and the ceasefire was magically negotiated by, this stuff is still so bizarre, by a fraggled and haggled and schmaggled, heavily drinking Hillary Clinton. There's all kinds of stories about her drinking problem. Have you seen that?
She does look a little ruddy.
Yeah. She was whisked in, on her jet into Ben Gurion, and with her iPhone, her red iPhone, right to President Obama, who was on the golf course probably. She and Mohammed Morsi and Bibi Netanyahu, they all just had a grand old time, and there's just peace oozing all over the place, except for the IDF shooting 300 protesters today down in Gaza, shooting some of the 300. But beyond that, what's going on with the ceasefire? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, right now, the ceasefire is holding because I guess Hamas are making a political capital. I think their actions, they misjudged their actions, because I think that they were wrong on 2 fronts. They thought that a re-elected Obama, who has a bad personal relationship with Israel's Prime Minister Bibi, would play in their favor. And I think the election of Morsi in Egypt, fellow Muslim Brotherhood gang, would also be in their favor. And I think that's why they, with the pushing of Iran, decided to throw a whole bunch of rockets on us. The response that they got, I suppose as you know by now, has really slammed them. They've had the head of their terror groups decapitated, and they've suddenly found that their rockets have had limited success, mainly due to the Israeli home front, the Iron Dome, and things like that. So they have been persuaded by Egypt to back off for the time being, which would allow them to rearm. As you may have heard, there was already a shipment of arms that was supposed to be coming through the Sudan, up through the Sinai, trying to make its way into Gaza, that was surprisingly stopped by the Egyptian government. They think probably for Morsi it was an insensitive time to have it divulged that he, as I wouldn't call him the peacemaker, but certainly the negotiator set up by Hillary Clinton and Obama, couldn't be seen, shoveling more rockets over the border or through the tunnels, the few surviving tunnels that were left after Israel decimated them.
It was confusing to me. I mean, it really looked like there was going to be a ground invasion. All of those troops and the hardware, the proper hardware was out. Everything was being done. Why did Netanyahu say, okay, I'm not going to go in and destroy Hamas?
I think basically because he saw an election coming up soon. Don't forget, we went into this operation on one stipulation, and that was to bring quiet to the citizens of Israel. I think to have sent in the ground troops, which I think was one of the instruments that helped Hamas, if you want to put it that way, back off, was an instrument that brought the quiet on the south of Israel, central Israel, which in a sense you can say that Israel acted with restraint. Certainly they acted with a coolness. And what has surprised many people over here, and I think internationally, that a government which has a so-called right-wing Bibi and also Victor Lieberman to act with such, let's put it, sensitivity at this time was a surprise.
Yeah, well, it didn't impress France, I guess.
Diplomatically, we did a sensible thing at that time. And I think also the fact that going into an election, we have a situation here that we didn't lose any of our boys on close combat urban fighting in Gaza, which can be a quagmire, was in a sense timely. But that doesn't mean that the cards are still on the table, that if Hamas want to start up again, they are going to get an even stronger response than they got last time. So I think the deterrent factor is in place again.
All right, now let's go from the Wednesday ceasefire, which was what was the date of Wednesday? 24th or whatever? What was the date?
I don't have my phone.
Oh, you don't have anything.
I don't know anything.
And your computers. In any event, the last week Wednesday, the ceasefire. The next day in the States, it was Thanksgiving.
It was, it's 28th. So 21st.
All right, 21st. Yeah. The 22nd was Thanksgiving in the States. The Thanksgiving surprise in the United States was Morsi. I mean, scurrying through the Sinai into Cairo, and then saying, hey, guys, meet your new pharaoh. What the heck was that all about?
What you just said, Tom, I guess, again, probably Hillary Clinton said the same. What was that all about? Again, I guess it's a misjudgment by the Obama administration of the true face of the successors to the Arab Spring, what we call the Islamic winter. I don't know if you recall going back to when Ambassador Stevens and 3 other Americans were killed in Benghazi. What was it that Hillary Clinton said? What was that all about? We thought, after all we did for Libya, look what they did to our people. Total misjudgment, total disguise of the true face of the new leaders of the so-called Arab Spring. Total misreading.
And
Give you some news, breaking news today, Tom.
What's that?
I don't know if you've heard. Just go back a step. You will all recall that Obama and Hillary Clinton were touting the video as the reason that the ambassador and 3 Americans were killed. We all know it was a lie. We all had nothing to do with it. But the fact that they went on the airways all over the world with Susan Rice, President Obama, Hillary Clinton, going on about this stupid video, well, I got news for them. Today, a Cairo court delivered the death sentence against 7 Egyptian Coptic Christians for the Innocence of Muslims video.
Right.
So well done, President Obama and Hillary Clinton. Your exposure and your pounding on the video has condemned 5 Americans, an Australian and a Canadian, to death.
That is.
Now that also gives the true face of a Morsi Muslim Brotherhood Salafi government in Egypt. That is the true face. The Muslim Brotherhood, the new government in Egypt, are not a secular democratic party.
Well,
wake up and smell the coffee.
Let me ask you guys this. Is it a miscalculation on the part of Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, or do they just really believe the same things and have the same objectives as Morsi and the Muslim Brotherhood? I mean, it's the left and the Brotherhood aligned. We see this in the United States. We see it all over the world. Why should they be any different? They are hardcore leftists, after all.
Barry, before you answer that, I'm going to read 2 quotes from President Morsi. One was on September 13th, 2 days after Benghazi, 2 days after the administration was pushing the innocence of Muslims as the catalyst, as the cause for these attacks, particularly in Cairo. Morsi said on September 13th, "The Islamic sanctities and Prophet Muhammad is a red line for all Muslims. We do not accept and we consider an enemy anyone who assaults our prophet through words or deeds. I represent all the Egyptian people. I depreciate and I stand against anyone who tries to abuse or exercise abuse of any kind against our prophet or of any of the Islamic holy sites." Then, 2 weeks later, he says at the United Nations, and we were there, the United West, our team was there in New York, at the United Nations General Assembly, which is taking place again tomorrow. Morsi says 2 weeks later, it was the 25th of September, and if you remember, Barry, our President Obama, six times
in that UN speech
pushed the fact that the video was the cause of the 20 different countries that were having problems at that time. And he made that infamous statement that the future does not belong to anyone who disrespects the prophet. But on that day, Morsi said, "The obscenities that I have referred to that were recently released as part of an organized campaign against Islam, Islamic sanctities, are unacceptable. We reject this. We cannot accept it. We will not allow it. Anyone doing this by word or deed." So you're right. Our president and our Secretary of State has assisted the OIC, the Organization for Islamic Cooperation, to push this Cairo agenda of no violation, no criticism, no condemnation of anything Islamic or anything Mohammed. Unbelievable. And one of those people is in jail. The guy who did the film, the Coptic guy, got arrested for some bogus other reason.
Yeah.
And
they kept him without a hearing in jail until after the election, so nobody could speak to him or interview him before the election. And then as soon as the election was over, they had it was basically a secret hearing and decided to keep him in jail for a year for some, parole violation for check forgery going back how many years or something like that. Something nothing to do with the movie, but to keep him still quiet.
Well, I'm so glad we have a microphone.
America with a K.
I got to take a minute here, Barry, to tell you about one of our sponsors, and I'm so glad we have a microphone and a megaphone, and we have friends like Barry that can bring this stuff out and expose it on the air. And one of our other good friends is Tim Saletti. Is that who we're talking about right here? I think we are.
Yeah, yep, we are.
Tea Party Tribune. The Tea Party, as you know, Barry, and others listening and watching here on TrentoVision.tv at the bottom of the hour. It is 3:30 on the East Coast in Florida, 10:30 at night where Barry is in the Tel Aviv area, and on our good friends out in California, it's 12:30. They're just getting up. I mean, in California, easy morning, just kind of awakening. But for Tim Saletti and the Tea Party Tribune, they're based out of Phoenix, Arizona. Tim does a couple of things, CJ, as you know. He builds and develops websites. He does both Trento Vision and the United West. But he also runs the Tea Party Tribune. The Tea Party Tribune. And just Tea Party Tribune. .com? Yeah, teapartytribune.com. And if you need good information about the Tea Party movement in the United States of America, and this is a very unique group of people. I've spoken to Tea Party groups all over the United States. They're true patriots, true Americans, wanting to return to the basics of a constitutional government, get rid of higher taxes, big government, all these subsidies, trim this bureaucracy, this little Leviathan down that's in Washington. The TeaPartyTribune.com. Go there. You get a great information. And if you need a website anywhere in the world, Tim, our friend Tim, can handle that. You can contact me, Tom at TrentoVision.tv, or just go to Tea Party Tribune and contact Tim through there. But he's a excellent guy, good patriot, warrior, counter-jihad hero.
He helped organize the whole Losing Our Sons program, didn't he?
Yeah, when we broadcast Losing Our Sons, he brought in the Tea Party Network. He has a couple of 100,000 people connected to his network. So we are, I was speaking with him the other day, we're going to be integrating this show with his, they're called communities. I'm learning a lot about social networking, right?
Right.
We're going to be integrating the Trento Vision show with his community of a couple of 100,000 people. And what we do is like red meat for these guys, I mean, our show is what they're all about. So that's going to be exciting. That'll happen in the next month or two as we put all of that together. But so, Barry, you being on our show, and we'll have you on regularly to do these updates, you're going to be speaking to quite a few American patriots here that know what it's mean. And many of them are former military, law enforcement, intelligence folks. And a lot of them are just regular people that just are simply fed up with Washington.
They're fed up
DC.
regular people is what they are.
Fed up with Washington.
Yeah.
All right, well.
Just common sense people.
Like I said, Barry, a couple of months ago, in fact, that week, the United West, our sister organization, we had a team of 4 of us. We were at a Muslim Day parade in New York City, and we exposed moderate Muslims calling for the destruction of Israel and America and everything else.
Yeah.
And
they were waving the Al Qaeda flag.
They were waving. This is 2 weeks after Benghazi. They're waving the Al Qaeda flag in downtown Manhattan, and we exposed
getting escorted by the police.
The police,
the NYPD,
in front of the parade, and then we went from the parade. We went to the United Nations, to the General Assembly. We were involved in a protest against Mahmoud Ahmadinejad staying at the Warwick Hotel. And then the next day, we were at the United Nations, and when Morsi was there. What is going on now, Barry, tomorrow at the United Nations? Fill us in, please, in your wacky and wild country.
Right. And look, just before we come on to the United Nations, if I may, Tom.
Sure.
I just want to put a cap on what we were discussing about Egypt, Morsi, and the American administrations.
Yes.
Look, we're seeing a Middle Eastern chaos. I'm sure you agree with me that. And we see America running around trying to convince the naive and ignorant that the Muslim Brotherhood, as I said before, is a secular moderate political force. Right? Who are they kidding? Letting them in the White House and throwing billions of dollars at Egypt will not moderate them. Now, the surprise has been when Morsi made the move to dictatorship. You remember, with regard to the judiciary,
yes.
We have been seeing the crowds on the street again, objecting, even calling for his dismissal. Okay? My question is, what side is America on? Is it on Morsi's side? Or is it on the people of the street? So there's another dilemma for the American administration.
Yeah, that's a good question, and I would say let's look at what happened in Iran.
Yeah.
When that real revolution was not supported and could have been supported, and Iran's nuclear program could have been halted, and this was before the Arab Spring, where you have a country where democracy really had a chance. The United States blew it. Obama turned his back. He let thousands of Iranians get slaughtered in the streets for protesting, and he completely abandoned them.
The people in the streets in Cairo and Alexandria, no, they're not going to get the support from the Americans.
They will not.
The people in Tehran who wanted to rise up against the Ayatollahs
That's
were
right.
left to themselves.
That's right.
Coming on to the other subject.
We're always on the wrong side.
United Nations. We've just also had this week, as you know, the digging up of Yasser Arafat's rotten corpse in order to try and prove poisoning, about this. And I found a link between the Palestinians and the United Nations and exhuming the decaying body of Arafat.
I told you.
I think Mahmoud Abbas is leading the Palestinians to decay as well.
Yeah, well...
They want to use their new status, I believe, at the United Nations, which is going to pass by a majority anyway, with the help of people like France. I think France should change their national flag to one of the color white. But I think they're going to use their new
yellow
status at the United Nations, not for peacemaking, but for more conflict making. Not only is it a unilateral move in total disregard to all the signed agreements with Israel, they have behaved for the last 4 years and will behave tomorrow as if we in Israel don't exist, which fits completely into what they tell their own people. Israel's response should be a plague on both your houses, Ramallah and Gaza. But instead, Israel has changed its tactics in the last few days, and all talk about drastic steps being now put on hold, basically, in preference for a low-profile wait-and-see approach. The logic says that the Palestinian move is a clear violation of all the underlying principles with regard to the peace process, which requires all outstanding issues to be resolved by negotiations, and no side should take unilateral action that will jeopardize agreements. The greatest nuisance for Israel will be more attempts at delegitimization, being dragged to the International Criminal Court at The Hague for trumped-up charges. It's now felt that the Palestinian Authority will be unable to take such a provocative step for claims that happened before tomorrow's resolution. So things like, Operation Cast Leg probably won't have any relevance on that. But I don't know. Let me outline for you and your viewers and listeners some of the scenarios at play here. It might help them understand what's about to happen tomorrow and also the implications that's going to follow. According to something called the Rome Statute governing the International Criminal Court, cases can only be filed with the court by referral from the United States Security Council, and that's not going to happen unless America changes its mind, or by a state, right? The ICC prosecutor, Luis Moreno Ocampo, told the Palestinians what road to take that would lead them to the ICC. Now, Israel argues that the Palestinians are not even a state, even after tomorrow's vote, and therefore have no legal standing or authority to file a case with the ICC. Now, Ocampo ended his term as a chief prosecutor, and he's been replaced by Fatou Bensouda of Gambia, and she is an unknown quantity. She's new in her role and has little precedent on how to proceed. But on Israel's side, Israel is not a party to the Rome Statute, so it could be difficult or impossible to bring a case against Israeli citizens without our government's cooperation. Of course, Israel's not going to cooperate anyway. And it's far from clear that the ICC would indict Israelis on war crimes connected with Operation Cast Lead. That was the last Gaza conflict, by virtue of the fact that Israel has completed its own investigations under law of our soldiers. In certain cases, judgments have been served. So generally, the ICC is only supposed to file indictments on the state of the accused that has not investigated the allegations. And it's doubtful that the Palestinians, if they tried, could bring charges against Israel for incidents that may or may not have happened before they were inducted into the non-NATO status anyway in the USA. And finally, and this is a clincher, if the Palestinians want to play with fire, they may get their fingers burned, or maybe more, hopefully. If they start filing against Israel, we have a huge pile of charges against them for war crimes, incitement to genocide, terrorism, and human rights crimes.
What a mess. CJ, you had a question for Barry?
Yeah, I do. Actually, I'm going to start with this and then go backwards. Okay. Why does Israel wait so long to even address these issues to begin with? Why just keep building? Yeah, why keep building the file to begin with?
Without the status of the United Nations, can't be brought to the International Criminal
Court. No, not through the International Criminal Court.
But there's a delay.
If they push for this statehood, they lay themselves open for charges to be brought against them. For instance, people want to differentiate between, let's say, what happened last week with Hamas and Islamic Jihad from Gaza and the Palestinians or the Palestinian entity. I think that's a fatal mistake. So far as I'm concerned, so far as Israel is concerned, the thousands of rockets fired at Israeli citizens from Gaza were Palestinian rockets. Let's not put a sticker on and say that was sent by Islamic Jihad, that was sent by Hamas, as if they're not Palestinian.
Exactly.
They're all Palestinian terror groups.
Right, but Barry, Israel does not have to wait for Palestinians to have statehood or not to have statehood or to go through an international criminal court or anything else to defend its own interests. It seems to me that for years now, Israel is persisting in not defending its own interests, in continuing to provide goods, services, financial transactions to the very people who have been trying to kill them and eradicate them and delegitimize them in every kind of way for years and years and years. So I don't understand why it makes a difference whether you can go through a court or not. They don't need a court for that. But Israel is still, whether the Palestinians have statehood or not, even if they're not subject to the Rome Statutes and can't be prosecuted by the International Criminal Court, which they should never cooperate with anyway, individual Israelis traveling abroad from Israel are still very much at risk of being arrested and tried in pretty much most of the countries of Europe that they would want to go to anyway. Think of all the academics and former military leaders who are unable to travel to conferences in London or Paris or Amsterdam because they know as soon as they land at the airport they're going to get arrested for war crimes.
Well, that we worked hard, and I want to say it's part of the introducing a new NGO in Britain called UK Lawyers for Israel, that were one of those bodies that were instrumental in overturning universal jurisdiction in Britain, because you're quite right, CJ. There were Israeli politicians and Israeli military people who were traveling to London were in the fear of arrest, from a citizen's arrest. But that has been overturned by the British Parliament and the British Justice Ministry. But coming back to some of the steps that Israel can take vis-a-vis its Palestinian new non-member status. I don't understand this. Maybe, CJ, you can explain to me, because I wrote in an article just the other day, I just don't understand what a non-member status means. That's like being, almost pregnant. You either are or you aren't, surely.
Well, I guess that's why the Vatican is one, right?
But only at the United Nations can this illogic, crazy sort of non-member status apply, I guess. But for instance, one of the steps that Israel can legitimately take, because Israel intends to stick firmly to the letter of what they call the 1994 Paris Protocol, mandating economic relations between Israel and the Palestinian Authority. So that protocol says that Israel may withhold tax money it collects for the Palestinian Authority to pay for goods and services that Israel provides the Palestinians if the Palestinians are in breach of any agreement. So the Palestinian Authority, for instance, owes more than 800 million shekels, that's over $200 million, to Israel's Electric Corporation for all the electricity they've received, have been obligated to pay for, and haven't. So this debt will likely be withheld in 2 upcoming monthly tax payments, despite the fact that this evening there is a rumor that Israel has just released 200 million shekels, not dollars, 200 million shekels, that's a quarter of that, to the Palestinian Authority to pay for salaries. However, the threat is there of an economic step which would be legally in line with the 1994 Paris Protocol. Now, I want to come on to the United Nations because there's a condemnatory note for the United Nations itself. I want to invite your viewers and listeners to Google the Montevideo Convention.
Right.
This was a treaty designed to codify the criteria of statehood.
Yeah.
And they included 1, a permanent population, 2, a defined territory, 3, a firm and a working government, 4, a capacity to enter in relations with other countries, and 5, a further condition forbids the use of military force to obtain statehood. I submit that on all counts the Palestinians have failed to meet any of these criteria. We saw only last week the clear use of military force, Palestinian military force against Israel. What and where is their government? Is it Fatah in Ramallah or is it Hamas in Gaza? They refuse to enter into relations with Israel. In fact, they reject all notion of recognition of their neighbor Israel and resort to force. So if you were in the United Nations and you want to stand by the stipulations and the criteria set for statehood, you cannot in any good faith or on, in fact, grounds apply statehood, whether it's member or non-member status of the United Nations, on the Palestinians, because I haven't met any of the criteria of statehood.
Barry, we have...
And the final point I want to make very firmly, the guy who's gone there to apply for this doesn't represent the Palestinians. He certainly doesn't represent the Palestinians in Gaza. And you know what? I got news for you. His party, the Fatah party, in recent local elections, lost all the seats they had in all the major towns in the West Bank under Palestinian control. So he doesn't even represent the majority of the people in the small area that he is supposed to control from Ramallah.
And you're talking...
So this doesn't even represent the people he's trying to claim statehood for.
And you're talking about Mahmoud Abbas, the head of the Palestinian Authority. Here's what we're going to...
He's an ailing, failing, weak leader.
Well,
the move is trying to get some sort of significance back, because quite frankly, one of the things that you discussed before, that the Gaza conflict was, in a sense, it sidelined it even more. Now, I heard I had a discussion on Israeli TV tonight where they're suggesting if this move brings Mahmoud Abbas more into a central role and shunts Hamas over to the side, that could be more favorable, let's say, to Israel. But that's all semantics.
That's ridiculous.
Let's do this, Barry, because we're up against the clock here. Are you able to stay over for the next hour for a little bit of that?
Okay, no problem.
Can you do that, or you got to get your beauty sleep?
No, he looks good to me.
Okay.
Not yet. I've got more things to do.
Yeah, because...
More than happy to stay with you and your viewers and listeners.
Because the next hour we had designed to dig into Fatah, to the PLO, to Arafat, that whole historical development of who's who in the Middle East and what's going on in the West Bank and Gaza and the interrelations. And it's fascinating material. And it'll be like a 101 class on Middle East politics,
Right.
So that'll be great. Barry,
if it helps your viewers and listeners really understand the situation over here, I'll be more than happy to analyze the positions we've got here.
All right, that'll be great. We're going to put you on hold, Barry. You hang there. And you are on TrentoVision.tv with Tom Trento, with CJ, with Mike, with Joe. And our special guest Skyping in from Israel in a beautiful connection. I mean,
yeah, it's really good.
There's just a little tiny delay. It's better than the many of the satellite trucks on the mainstream media. So this thing is working very nicely. Thank you, Mike, for making all of that stuff work. But what we're going to do is keep Barry Shaw over to the next hour, because tomorrow Mahmoud Abbas, the president of the Palestinian Authority and and Fatah. Now, what is the relationship, and what is the relationship of the Palestinian Liberation Organization to Fatah and to the PA, and where does Yasser Arafat's exhumed stinky body fit into all of this? We're going to tell you all about that. You're going to know everything you needed to know to understand the wild and wacky world of the Middle East, of Israel. Why is it important for you, our viewers and listeners? Because tomorrow in New York at that weird building on the East River there, the United Nations building, Mahmoud Abbas is going to get a vote from 193 countries, and they're going to vote, most of them. France is involved. Denmark said yes. Sweden said yes.
Yeah.
Switzerland said yes.
Everybody with scary Muslim problems in their country said yes.
They all said yes, that they're going to vote for this unique category for the Palestinian Authority. What the heck is the Palestinian Authority?
They're not an authority over anything except for raiding and looting the U.S. Treasury and the Israeli Treasury, as far as I can tell.
They're going to be granted non-member observer status. So, but we're gonna put these pieces together. Why is this important? Because this will automatically elevate the status of terrorists to a position that the world community will recognize as being legitimate. What does this do for the Sharia-compliant Muslims, for the jihadis? It empowers them to advance their jihad worldwide. And America stands in the way of the jihad taking over Israel. So it affects every single person listening to this, to us watching. But guess what? If you read the Patriots Press, now this is where you have the definite article. Dave D, The Patriots Press, thepatriotspress.com. What we're doing on TrentoVision.tv, broadcasting on WNN 1470, we're bringing you experts like Barry Shaw, like Claire Lopez, like General Vallely, like Ben Smith, the SEAL, all these people. We bring this phenomenal information to you about world affairs, national security, about the failures of the Obama administration. So we bring you the experts, you listen to them, then we provide for you places to go to look at the material in print. And we told you about the TeaPartyTribune.com earlier. You can go to thepatriotspress.com. That's our friend Dave D. And he was on the ground giving us daily reports of the Allen West mess that took place up north a bit in St. Lucie County. In fact, CJ, I spoke to those guys today. Next week, we're going to have an hour show and go through exactly what happened to Allen West up there. They're putting all the material together. It's fascinating information.
Wow. And
it's not a happy picture. But we know Allen had conceded. He lost. He was really cheated out of the seat. But go to thepatriotspress.com. You can get all that information. Mike, you're listening, sitting there listening. CJ, what are your thoughts so far on what Barry's telling us about the Palestinian Authority, Mahmoud Abbas, traveling to the United Nations, and the world community greeting him as a great state leader that's going to just totally hurt Israel? What are your thoughts, real fast?
No, we're absolutely in trouble with the way people are viewing this. It's the wool pulled over the eyes scenario.
Wool pulled over the eyes scenario, except we're watching them pull the wool over, and we're going, you're pulling wool over their eyes, but the people still don't know. Yeah.
No, I don't think anybody's pulling the wool over anybody's eyes. I think everybody just hates the Jews. I'm sorry to bring it back to that again, but I think they just hate the Jews, and if they could find a way to stick it to them and stick it to Israel and still make it look like they're on the side of right and justice and truth and everything else while they're doing it, they're very happy to do it.
You know what Occam's razor is? Occam's razor. Can you mute him? You know what Occam's razor is? Occam's razor is a theory that says, a concept that says the most simplest explanation for a theory is usually the right one.
Yeah.
I think Jew hatred, I think that one's coming to the front of the line for a lot of this crazy stuff. But we'll find out in the next segment. We thank you for being with us this first hour. Tom Trento with CJ and Mike on Trento Vision. And we will see you guys in just a few moments.
Okay.